So a few days before the update, I want to talk about one of the upcoming big changes coming into this game, which are gonna be destroyers. Now he's made this post, I believe, as of last night, saying what the kind of changes we're expecting to get for destroyers. Now I'm gonna go down this little topic right here. I'll put it on the screen or somewhere for you guys to follow along, or I'll put it in the description, one or the other, and you guys can go about just following along with me as I talk about these specific topics. Alright, so the first thing is, when the destroyer is max limit break, you will get one of the following three types of effects. The first one is the number of main gun attacks required for all bullet firing skills is halved. So if you guys don't know, a lot of destroyers in this game, they have to fire a specific amount of their main guns to get a all-out assault. I believe a lot of vanguards have that, so let me just go ahead, go to destroyers, and I will show you guys what I'm talking about. So let's say Laffy. Laffy is one of the common ones, right? All-out assault right here. So Laffy, once every 10 times the main gun is fired, you get all-out assault, which is a barrage. So this right here, the number of main gun attacks required for all bullet firing skills is halved. That's pretty good. So depending on the ships, this all-out assault now is really buffed, because now you're basically shooting double the all-out assaults within the time of whatever story you're doing. So instead of firing 10 times, it's firing every 5 times, or 10 times to 5 times. So depending on what the gun you're using is, so this example is the 127. It fires every 1.2 seconds. Every 6 or 7 seconds or so, you get all-out assault, which is very good. Very good wave clearing for low tier mobs and whatnot. So like this makes event farming much easier, because a lot of destroyers are very good for event farming, because you can take advantage of level difference. And most of the time you're farming like D3, they're like level 103. If you're running a level like 110, 115 Vanguard, most of the time with Destroyer, they should be doing enough damage to like just power through it, if you're on safe mode, that is. So this just makes this you're just rolling out the D3 fleets much easier, doing a lot more damage. It makes event farming a lot easier. So the first update, very good for event farming. That's the first thought. Just event farming is now much easier for whatever Vanguard Destroyer you're using and whatnot. The second update is, when a torpedo attack, the torpedo spray angle becomes narrower. So by itself, you gotta wait to the other update I'm talking about, but this right here, it makes things a little bit more accurate. But again, going with our old pattern, Vanguard DDs shoot whenever they want. So like if they're like all the way in the back, they'll just fire immediately whenever they have it up. That's bad. But because of the upcoming update I want to talk about like in 5 minutes from now, this update is really good. It makes it a lot more accurate, more precise. So there's that, right? And the third one is increased ability gain from weapon equipment. So what this means usually is weapon equipment is like the loadout. So whatever loadout you're using, you're probably gonna get benefits from it. Probably efficiency upgrades. I'm not sure what exactly they're talking about. Maybe like more speed, more damage, more torpedo stats. I'm not sure what the third one is. It's very broad statement. Someone could probably specify what this is talking about precisely. But let's say they're talking about more effects like speed, power, damage, all that jazz. That's just a natural, that's not just like an overall buff or whatever. It's free stats, free benefits, can't go wrong with that at all. But I think the biggest update right here is probably going to be the first one. It makes things a lot easier to like just plow through, because now your all-out assault is like cut in half, meaning a lot more barrage. Depending on what kind of destroyer you're using, they're going to be very good. Like Suzu is going to be even more insane, because now instead of every 16 times, it's going to be every 8 times. And she already owns as a destroyer. So there's that. Now the second part of the update they're talking about is during auto combat. So this is going to be for a lot of people right here, because auto combat is like the name of the game in Azur Lane. Torpedoes fired by torpedo attacks performed by the little button that you guys see in like the bottom left or bottom right, depending on how you put it. Operating attack, the torpedo attack buttons or whatever, are as followed. instead of being fired forward, it will now be fired at enemies within a certain range. So what I believe here is like if you're in like a sortie or something, I'm not sure what an example is. I'll go ahead and like, do I have PvP's attempt right now? I just like toss a PvP attempt out there, just like show you guys an example. Well, like they're gonna fire right away. But now if they're like within a certain like proximity or whatever, they're gonna fire when they're like in range. So like not right here, they probably wouldn't fire, but they'll probably fire like if these two meet up or whatever, like right about here, they're probably gonna fire it, right? They're gonna fire it in a really close range. This makes it a lot more accurate. Now for PvP, I'm not sure how this update's gonna be. It's probably gonna own, because I think this update for PvP is gonna be very, very insane. So there's that. Probably everyone's gonna run torpedoes now in PvP or something, as if they aren't already doing that. It's gonna be very, very good though. Very good for the torpedoes and whatnot coming up for this event. Now for regular content though, like I don't know, PvE stuff, probably not as good. But for PvP though, it's gonna be insane. I can tell you that much. So unless Anchorage can do some work, it's probably gonna be absolutely phenomenal. In addition, depending on torpedo equipment, special effects such as strengthen the torpedo search enemy range and the strengthen the spray of angle torpedo barrage that can automatically catch the attack target aren't added. So I think this makes it so there's like more homing, I think. So like more homing torpedoes are going to be a lot easier to hit the enemies, because back then they're like very, very slow. Most of the time, if they're like super, super slow, they're never going to catch their target unless like the AIs are just really dumb, like in PvP. So like if you're doing PvE stuff, even with homing torpedoes, it's kind of not as accurate. You still hit some eventually, but it's not going to be super, super accurate. But this makes it so it's a lot more accurate. And if you guys already know, torpedoes in this game do a lot of damage, a lot of damage. So the more torpedoes that hit, the easier it is for you to do damage, the better they are for overall damage output and whatnot. When there are no enemies within search range, it will fire forward. So again, if there's nothing on your screen, it'll just shoot it right away. It's like regular combat, I believe. Or like as of right now. Like what we have right now is what they're gonna do for this last part of the update. If there's no enemies, it just fires right away. So like this, as soon as the combat starts, like right now, you fire torpedoes right away, same thing there. So this overall update, it's more equipped to make torpedoes more accurate, and they're making it so they just do more damage output overall. Now, there's nothing about it in terms of survivability, which is the big takeaway in terms of why I don't use destroyers, is because if you're on full auto and you're fighting enemies around your level, evasion isn't that, like, it's not as effective as you would against like something with like level 100 versus a level 120, right? If you're doing 120 versus 120, evasion isn't as effective, but it is still good though. So that being said, health is still a problem. Armor typing is still a problem for destroyers, but their damage output probably will be a little bit better. Now, they're probably not going to do as much firepower damage as like a heavy cruiser, because the firepower stat difference between a destroyer and a heavy cruiser is crazy. Like for example, Laffy right here is like 161, and I take for example a heavy cruiser that's, I don't know, Exeter, which is like 266. That's more than 100 right there, which is a lot. So there's that. Also, there's heavy cruiser guns are like really, really powerful. So there's that. But there's more emphasis on torpedoes, and torpedoes do a lot of damage in this game. And as if a meme torpedo bombing isn't already a thing right now with like Naganami, Noshiro, Ibuki, stuff like that, and like backline carriers. Now it's going to be even better. Now I don't think they're going to upgrade the torpedo damage for what we have right now. They're just going to make it a lot easier and more accurate to hit the torpedoes and whatnot. So I expect in the coming updates, there's going to be more destroyers in PvP, as if they aren't already doing so. And unless bosses are immune to torpedoes, because some bosses in this game are immune to torpedoes because they have the anti-torpedo shield and whatnot, they're gonna be blown up, as if they aren't already getting blown up by more torpedoes from vanguards now. So it'll be a lot easier. And as for full auto, destroyers already own for event farming D3 because they're cheap. They get the job done for your backline to do whatever. But now they're gonna make it so destroyers do a lot more damage, meaning they can do a lot more wave clear, and they do just overall faster damage output, meaning you survive better in events and whatnot, it's gonna be very good. For event farming and whatnot, it's gonna be even better. Now, for main fleet purposes, like you're doing six ship fleets and whatnot for like World 13, World 14 upcoming, Operation Siren, stuff like that. There are room for some destroyers, I'd say, because they offer some kind of buffs. Because the big takeaway here is that why I don't use destroyers is because torpedo memes aside, they don't offer that much to a fleet. They're fast, but they're not very durable, and they have terrible typing for armor and whatnot. They don't offer any buffs. Like cruisers offer a lot of buffs in this game and whatnot. Heavy cruisers are durable and they do a lot of damage. That's why I don't like destroyers. So in order for them to get a destroyer like back into like end game content, it's very, very difficult, because if they buff destroyers to a point where it's too overwhelmingly powerful, then they just power creep the other types of ship in this game, and it's going back in full cycle. The best way for them to incorporate destroyers into other like end game players' fleets, because I'm pretty sure they track this for whatever statistics they have, because they probably realized like, oh, no one used destroyers or whatever, or like outside of like 3 destroyers, no one used destroyers in Operation Sirens, right? So what they're probably thinking is they want to incorporate them into end game content. In order for you to properly do this, you have to add some kind of mechanic where destroyers are very, very good at. So submarines is one of them. I hate submarines, but if you want to make submarines if you want to make destroyers relevant, there has to be more submarines involved in whatever content you're doing. That's just how it is. Otherwise, in terms of like regular tank and spank content, I just prefer light cruisers and heavy cruisers all the way. Because destroyers don't really offer much aside from a few that offers like some kind of buffs, and they have a lot of torpedo stats by themselves, like Naganami, Kazugumo, ships like those. They offer a lot to a fleet. But like a basic destroyer like Laffy and whatnot, no. They're just wave clearing, but there's a lot of ships that does it better and compared to them and so forth. So that is the upcoming destroyer changes and whatnot. It's probably gonna be announced probably in like a month or so, probably earlier. Who knows? I'll go ahead and put the link in the description for you guys to look at to do whatever. And hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you guys probably tomorrow with another upcoming video.